Hey guys, day after Christmas, working on my homestead. This place actually used to be a wolf rescue. We were homesteading south of Payson for a couple years, and then moved up to east of Snowflake. We bought what used to be a wolf rescue. There's a lot of it that's compatible with homesteading, but a lot of it has to be updated to actually work more. Because, wolf rescues, you want the 8-foot tall fence, no dig underneath, and the gates nowhere near each other, just in case a goat darts to try, or a wolf darts to try to get to the other. But with this, I want it more efficient. I'm moving hay. I'm not moving bags of dog food. It's a completely different animal. So anyhow, I just listened to a video from Hayden Carroll. Let's talk with Hayden Carroll. I love that guy. He does great videos on the gospel. Fantastic videos. This one was posted a day ago, so I guess like December 25th probably then. And he's making this comparison to sola, scritura, and I keep meaning to make a video about this. I will make a slideshow about this. But the living gospel versus the living constitution are two completely separate things. They are not analogous in the way that you might think they are. A lot of us tend to look to the Supreme Court as though that's the equivalent of the first presidency in the Council of 12. No, flip-flop that. Flip-flop that right away, okay? So the most powerful actions that can be carried out by the United States government according to the Constitution is in Article 5, which requires 3/4 of state legislatures. That's because the sovereign is we the people. Look up Defending Our Divinely Inspired Constitution by Dallin H. Oaks. So he talks about the first principle is the source of government power is the people, period. So the closest to the people is the state legislatures. Now, the source of the church's power is God, and the closest to God is the prophet. So you have to understand that's a flip-flop relationship. You tend to think of, okay, the Supreme Court's going to be kind of like the closest to the sovereign. No, they are the furthest from the sovereign. They're important, but they're more, I keep saying they're more like the High Council, your local High Council. Okay? No, they have no authority to make official declarations on behalf of the church, the God's doctrine, the living Constitution. It lives through Article 5, not through Article 3. Article 6, Clause 2, everything it mentions goes through a legislative process. Article 6, Clause 2, that's called the Supremacy Clause by a lot of people. The Constitution, the laws, and the treaties are supreme. Every last one of those has to go through Congress in one way or another. In particular, though, the amendments to the Constitution and Article 7, the original ratification of the Constitution, they all go through the states, through the state legislatures. Okay, that's really important to understand. The state legislatures, that's a lot of people. That's not just 5 out of 9 justices making a change to how the Constitution is applied. Okay, so it flip-flops. Okay, when you've got somebody who is humble enough to receive direct revelation from God, that's called a prophet. And that's just one person. He's close to God. He is the one who does our living gospel, right? Who can tell us what the scriptures mean and how we're supposed to be applying them at this point. But when you're dealing with men and politics, you need to flip-flop that. You need to put it to the people and the closest, and that's what the Constitution does. It's just most of us have forgotten that. Please read Article 5 of the Constitution. Okay, please look at President Oaks' Defending Our Divinely Inspired Constitution, where he compliments amendments to the Constitution and rips on Supreme Court interpretations of it. Maybe not rips on, but close enough. He is. You know how President Monson says in that one talk, Principles from Prophets, I've never seen anybody told off so adroitly and not realize that they've been told off. President Oaks is, he's really good at pointing out we don't need the Supreme Court being our living Constitution. That is not the way it's supposed to be. Article 5 is how it's supposed to be done. Seriously, you got to pay attention to them. If you don't study it, you're going to miss it. Okay? And so again, don't look at the Supreme Court as though they're analogous to the prophet or the first presidency in Council of 12. Not even close. What's analogous to the first presidency in Council of 12 is the state legislatures working with the federal legislature in the amendment process. 2/3 of the federal legislature can initiate the process, or 2/3 of the states. And then 75% or 3/4 have to ratify. That's where the real power is. Sovereignty is with the people. Look at the 5 principles from Defending Our Divinely Inspired Constitution by President Oaks. He says our loyalty is to the Constitution itself, not to any people or their ideas about it. We're loyal to the principles and its processes, and the processes for updating the Constitution are through Article 5. There's no process whatsoever granted in Article 3. There's processes granted in Article 1, Section 7 for laws. There's a process granted in Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2. Okay, so again, that's my main point. Flip-flop that idea. We tend to think of such a small group as being the final interpreter of God's doctrine. It's not the same when it comes to the United States Constitution, which all of us, every member of the church around the world has a responsibility to defend the United States Constitution specifically. And what it says is 3/4 of the state legislatures, because the state legislatures are closest to we the people. Look at President Oak's 5 principles in defending our divinely inspired Constitution. Also look at Jesus Christ's Gifts and Expectations by President Benson, where he also references President McKay. We're to look at the Constitution and the tradition of the founders and according to what the prophets and the scriptures say about it, not according to what the courts say about it. And so this is... I've just pointed to 3 prophets that have said that same thing, that find the amendment process inspired and don't find Supreme Court interpretations inspired. And President Oaks, he's really interesting to follow because he spent so much time in law, and you hear him say, oh, I thought the court was fine. I thought the brethren maybe were a little concerned about something they didn't need to be concerned about. And when he was younger, he used to say, I think you guys are worrying about something you don't need to worry about. And then years later, he'd always say, like, oh no, the prophets knew exactly what they were talking about. The court needed to leave that one alone. The court's interpretations have not been inspired as a general rule. More often than not, I would say. So President Benson and McKay both said they were leading us down the road to atheism, is what they were doing. So again, just Hayden Carroll, if you happen to be able to mention this to him or what have you. I love that guy. He's got fantastic videos. He's like a Charlie Kirk type of guy, except for he's defending our doctrine. And he just clearly doesn't know our doctrine regarding the Constitution, as well as he knows our doctrine regarding the sola scritura versus the living prophet thing. So flip-flop that. The written Constitution, the words of it is what we're loyal to until it is amended. There is a process written into it. One of the things he points out, there's nothing written into the Bible clarifying that the Bible is final, right? There's nothing written into the Constitution clarifying that the Supreme Court interprets it for the rest of us. But there is an Article 5 process written in. So it is a living Constitution. It tells us how it's supposed to be a living Constitution, and it's not through the courts. It's through Article 5, through the state legislatures and the federal legislatures working together. That's your equivalent of the First Presidency and Council of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but on a government level. And God approved of it. He wants us to continue defending it. We've just had a talk a few years ago telling us that it's an ongoing responsibility of us as members of the church, and probably one of the most awkward ones because you're reading really weird English, different from biblical English. But read it, dudes. You will start getting it. It'll be like, oh man, holy smokes, what are we doing? Okay? Anyhow, thanks for listening, you guys. Hope you're having a great holiday season.